GSL Season 1, Round of 10. Africa TV, Africa Studio Live.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the final day of the Round of 10. Tonight, we will be closing out Group B, and next week, we'll be moving on into the Round of 6.
Yeah, this is going to be an excellent day. The round robin hood, as some may call it, has been fantastic thus far. Like, really great days, all of them. I think the last two just amazing. Of course, the Group B day went so late that people were not even able to take the train home, most people.
Yeah, it was past public transportation closing time.
Yeah, to a lot of
very
locations.
Rare for us here at the studio.
I squeezed in. I got home just
in?
barely on the train. But it was a great day, and we're going to finish up Group B today, see who goes up to that round of 6. And here's the thing, right? Like, there was a point in the last round where we were wondering, are we going to get any Protosses through? We got plenty of Protosses through.
We
but
did,
now, Maru has to have a sick comeback. He's at last place in his group, and if he doesn't make it, there's no Terrans in the round of 6.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird. Maru not performing well at all, but then Creator is like so playing out of his mind that it's crazy.
Yeah.
So big surprises here. I mean, if I was to predict anything that happened in Group B, 2 weeks ago, I would have been completely wrong, and I think I'm not alone.
Yeah.
A lot of upsets here.
Yeah, and looking at Group A, Byun and Ryung were actually both pretty close to making it through. Ryung had some great games, it just wasn't quite good enough. Whereas Byun actually had Rogue dead to rights 2-0 and the whole wrist thing. So very rough there. No Terrans getting through. You can see who did make it through. Trap ended up winning at the end of the day, going directly to the round of 4. Rogue in the winner match and Ragnarok in the loser match in the round of 6.
Yeah. It is already sizing up to be an interesting round of 6 here. Today, we're going to be going to clean out Group B and see really where everybody's going to stand here. Maru, weirdly, he's in the bottom and Creator's in the top. It's the exact opposite of what you would expect.
Yeah.
I think there is a likelihood that we will need to go to a tiebreaker match here, especially when you look in the middle of this dark DRG and Hero. I feel like any of those players could beat each other. It's not very clear-cut.
No, it's definitely possible. Also, I think Maru is probably going to come back pretty strong today. A lot of players did in that previous group. Byun and Trap both looked way better. They were the last time. And I feel like Byun should have made it through. And Trap, of course, won the group. So anything is still possible at this point, as we learned in Group A. And, yeah, Creator is actually the only player in the tournament who hasn't lost a match yet.
Isn't that funny? It's exciting, to be honest. I mean, we've been watching Creator play for so long, and he's had maybe 1 or 2 good tournaments in what feels like the entire history of GSL, to be totally honest. I mean, he really it's not like he's bad, but, compared to everybody else, he isn't able to get to where he wants to be. But looking here today, this might be his breakthrough moment. I mean, he's already halfway there with this group.
Well, it has taken a long time. It's been 10 years since his last strong result, but he may very well get a strong one here. And what a result it would be if he ends up, taking down GSL. We haven't had a Protoss champion in, 5 years or something.
4 or 5, I believe.
It's 2017,
at least not for Code S, no.
Yeah.
And, when you look at, how well he did in his group, I mean, these are players he's beating that could just take the whole thing. So that really says something. But we're going to start this off here looking at DRG. This is a guy who, again, he's in the middle. We don't really know exactly where he's going to end up.
Yeah.
I would say not looking as strong as some of the other Zergs that we have so far in the round of 10, but still, a real shot at getting out. And then here we have Maru, who has gone 0-2, and he hasn't looked necessarily bad. It just does seem like he was outplayed today, or a week ago.
Yeah, he had a good series against Dark. And Dark is the top 4 Zerg in the world easily. So, I think you're right. He wasn't playing particularly badly, but he was playing probably the 2 other strongest players. I think the whole group is really strong. Even Group A was all talking about how Group B looked a bit scarier. So
right. All right, guys, we're ready to start our Day 2 Group B matches. DRG versus Maru on the map Berlin Grand.
GSL Season 1. Team Envy, DRG. Onside Gaming, Maru.
I'm sorry, Taste. I didn't catch that. What map? What
That's,
map? What map were we on again?
We're going to be in the city of Berlin.
Oh, okay, okay.
As I said it,
you.
I'm like, what came out of my mouth there? So, you know, the big question in this is it possible for Maru to go 0-3 in this group? I mean, we already, going into the start of Group B day one, we would have never thought that was possible. But now, going up against DRG, it's kind of scary, man. I mean, if Maru's lost to the other opponents in this group already, maybe he could lose here. This could be one of his worst GSL performances ever.
If he loses this match, he's out.
Yeah, it's his story ends.
He has to win. So, yeah, and here's the truth of the matter, Tasteless. You know that deep down in Terran players' hearts, they're hoping that Maru loses here. Because, because it just adds so much fuel to the fire. And if Maru makes it through, then just play like Maru.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Oh man. But look, DRG is quite strong, Zerg versus Terran, but Maru's like the best at Terran, right? So this should be I think that Maru's actually going to come back in this group. Honestly, I think he's going to win his matches today.
let's hope so. Because, yeah, I mean, again, he didn't look bad, but he was outplayed. There were certain circumstances that made the games kind of exceptional, but, that'll happen in a StarCraft game if you play out enough of them. So this game, we've got Maru going for a pretty modest expand build. DRG taking his third now. No surprises early on. It's going to be, a few more minutes of development here on either side before we really get to see what the plans are. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's nothing out of the ordinary as of yet. DRG, of course, with his third hatch down. He's taking care of those destructible rocks at the moment. Maru, produce some Marines. Factory is done. Going to switch over for some Hellions. And I'd imagine that he's going to grab a quick medevac out of this.
Yeah, I think so. I think Maru, coming into this group, it's kind of interesting to see because of the position he's in. It's like normally he's just always in the lead, and he's always, oftentimes when we had the old format, he just gets out in the winner's match. He leaves a little bit after the halfway point of the show.
Yeah.
And we, move on to the more interesting part of that group, which is who's going to survive next, because Maru's expected to move on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for him, it's got to be weird in round of 10 to come into this down so much. So these are really the builds he's hinging his tournament survival on, more so than just what he thinks he can get away with in a mid-section of a tournament.
Totally.
And so he sent the Marines down here in the 2 Hellions.
Kind of an interesting timing. This is not something that you really generally see. There are 2 more Hellions on the way, and 2 more being made right now as well. So this is going to be 4 Hellions, 6 Marines, with a medevac about to pop. And I like this, kind of just putting some pressure on. He's forcing some Lings out.
Yeah, he could run by here and try to get some drones, but a really good Ling block. Oh, that's so bad for Maru.
I mean, hey, DRG was smart to leave some Lings right there. That was a great place to catch Maru, and suddenly Maru's whole build looks a lot weaker, having lost those Hellions.
Yeah, we don't see Maru do that often, which is probably why it was not even necessarily a bad idea to try here, even though it didn't work. Maybe to throw DRG off, but that is a risk. When you do something like that, you are kind of hoping your opponent's going to make a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, if you're diving with Hellions, you definitely need the damage because you're giving up a lot of your map control and a lot of your cleaning potential on the edge of the creep, right? Like, if you keep those Hellions alive, you can run around a bit more, shape things down, and, I mean, anything that lives eventually can just act as tanking units when you have an armory. But here, trying to get that Overlord. Look at that, DRG. Like, he did not even think about transfusing that Overlord.
No.
Like, he did afterwards, but he knew he wasn't going to lose it.
No.
Battery had 49 energy on that one Queen.
We've got a drop coming here. Spores are now being set up. That's going to eliminate some of the opportunities for Maru to try to get in there with light medevac drops. And he's going to go for Banshees with Cloak.
And Mech 2 factories.
Oh, you're right. In Mech 2,
on the
I
way.
didn't even see the 2 factories there.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I wonder if it's going to turn into Banshee Mech or if it's just Banshee into Mech. Banshee Mech, of course, is when you get quite a few Banshees.
Banshees and Mech.
But yeah, also the Banshee speed upgrade, right?
Yeah.
And I liked that type of mech. It feels like it gives you this option to fly around and cancel bases, deal some extra damage and whatnot, which is oftentimes what mech is missing. And there it is, Hyperflight Rotors. So it's going to be Banshee Mech, Tasteless. Banshees and Mech, as you said so eloquently.
Thank you. I mean, it's interesting to see this hard shift into this direction. I wonder if this is premeditated or because his little Hellion run by didn't work out that well. He just wants to try to switch into this.
Well,
he never got stim, right?
No, he didn't get stim.
So then never mind. This was probably premeditated.
Yeah, I think it was because he lifted the barracks to go check for an Overlord, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as you see that, you got a question because you're missing like add-on build time and you're missing like a quicker stim and all that.
Right.
So, yeah, I definitely think he planned this coming in. Now, he's got 2 armories going, and he is making some Cyclones. So, I mean, normally Cyclone Hellion, we call that battle mech because you're kind of running around. You're always engaging everything as much as possible. Yeah, it's super, super mobile. But he's also getting Banshees, so I wonder how those work together. I don't think I've ever seen Banshees with battle mech.
Now, this is going to take a little bit to build into, right? That is going to give Zerg a lot of liberty to move around the map and do whatever they want. I think when you see those additional mech units in there, it's not going to be much more of a secret that this is going to be an alternative tech route. Important to know that, you know, in the whole history of StarCraft, going all the way back to StarCraft 1, even I guess pre-Brood War, not that that's a really significant part of the history, but all the way to the first day, going mech against Zerg was always the alternative tech. And it really still is today. But, you know, when you're good with it, you can make it work. It can throw players off. And it forces the Zerg to play a very different game. I should say mech against Zerg is what I meant.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But, yeah, and it, you know, it requires a different skill set from the Zergs. And he's just going to drop Queens. I love this.
Well, as long as he's dropping the creep so he can use some transfusions. But,
Yeah.
I mean, this feels to me like Maru should be able to hold on against this, honestly.
Well, let's see. I mean, we have some Ravagers coming out here.
Dude, he got rid of the Overseer already.
Well, it's coming. The Overseer is going to come out again.
Yeah.
4 Banshees is a lot, but
That's all. Yeah, that's a huge amount of damage output. He lifted up off his 3rd, so he doesn't lose that command center or anything. He will lose some of these depots, probably including that supply drop one. So a little bit painful for sure.
Oh,
Tanks
man.
are out here. DRG continues to push forward.
yeah, there's just 1 more tank remaining. I have to imagine there's more being made, but the SCVs are trying to get in the way. Another set of Biles takes the other tank out. I think Maru's going to lose this game.
Maybe you're right about that. Like, his SCVs are pretty much gone, and DRG just continues to macro and rally up. So few units left over. The Banshee's unable to hold on, it seems. They've done a huge amount of damage here, but just enough Queens to keep them back. Look at this. He's dropped to 35 workers, losing 44 SCVs, but he might stabilize. It seems like he is, right?
Well, I mean, he's in a pretty bad position. He can't take his 3rd, right? It's not like he's just held off the attack. He's kind of encased in his, 2 bases. There's creep everywhere, and Zerg's on 4 bases. Granted, one thing is this tech does not exactly transition that well until later on, but I think he's actually got more reinforcements coming into it to make this attack maybe a killing blow. I think we're going to see if that works right now.
Yeah, he's getting right up on top of these siege tanks. The Queens are still there to push Banshees back, so that's going to be a GG.
Oh my God.
Maru's really on the brink of elimination right now, Tasteless. Not looking so hot for him. I mean, that was a smooth kill there from DRG. Maru's strategy overall, like, it seemed like he just wanted to be so active on the map, so harassment-based, but DRG just kind of slammed him there. You're sitting there with, like, 3 Cyclones, and he made some good moves. Like, he picked off the Overseer right away, so his Banshees did extra damage and all that, but at the end of the day, he didn't really have the tanks. He didn't really have the fortified position to stop such a crazy attack from DRG.
Yeah, he did not. And, I don't know about using that build when you know, everything is going to come down to the next 1 or 2 games for Maru. I don't like it.
Okay.
I'll talk more about that when we get into this. Our game's loading up. DRG Maru, game 2. Maru down 0-1 in the series, down 0-2 so far in his previous best of 3s, and could be eliminated in this next one we've got right now. Okay, we've got a drone coming out immediately. Might be skipping intros. I was going to talk about that strat last game, but let's just see what this does.
You think
first.
it's just offensive hatchery?
Maybe.
I would imagine. Like, what else are you doing with this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, you're right. I'm like, he's looking for barracks. He's looking for a Makarax. Yeah, you're completely right. What else would he be doing that? Real quick before the strategy kicks off, I don't like that Maru did something that we basically just never see him do ever. I'm sure that strategy can be strong, but I feel like we've seen Maru win so many times by just playing middle of the road when he needs to.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised to see him doing these kind of not gimmicky builds, but they're so out there, and there's a reason why we don't see them that often. And I feel like the ebb and flow of a build like that is not going to work against DRG. DRG is going to see weakness. He's going to see that you never got stim, that your mech has already started late, that Banshees can be dealt with by techniques like he implored in that last game, dropping with overlords and putting creep down there. So yeah, that's too bad to see him do this. This game, DRG is going to try to do basically like a strategic rug pull on Maru early on.
I think it's just a very straightforward Roach all-in.
Yeah.
There's the Roach Warren. There is a Reaper on the way, but no SCV went across. So, I mean, this looks very, very good for DRG right now. It feels like he's going to 2-0 Maru. It's going to be DRG's fault that we don't have any Terrans in the round of 6.
I mean, this is looking like a pretty good opener for, that Maru's doing for DRG to just kill him with.
Yeah.
The Reaper has no utility when it comes to an attack like this coming at you.
Pretty much.
I mean, Reaper versus Roach is just... There's a reason why we don't see Reapers made after the first minute or 2 of the game.
One Ling is out right now. The Reaper's going to come over and see no hatchery, and Maru is going to be having the sirens going off in his head. This is tough. All right, some SCVs coming down. I guess he just has to throw down bunkers and see what he can get done. Comes up, sees double gas, so he's going to know that it's Roach. Some nice harass. Like I like the Reaper.
But DRG has not yet dropped a drone. He's been pretty perfect about just, swapping out each drone in each position.
He's actually killing some good amounts, but oh god, 3 Ravagers against 3 Marines? That doesn't sound very fair.
Yeah, and the bunker, well, one of them at least isn't going to finish, at least not for a little bit. And the Ravager's actually getting stuck on the outside. He might want to try to snipe the Marines before they come in.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what he does there. The amount of damage is getting pretty insane at the moment. 9 SCV kills thus far. It's 10 drones, though, against 17 SCVs. So Maru going to stay in this while he still feels like he has a chance.
Well, it's going to be about Maru trying to hang on right now. This pack's a real punch. The Reaper. Oh, I was wrong about you,
Very
Reaper,
nice.
Earlier on. You're so good.
Very nice. Cyclone is about to pop out, and obviously the Cyclone is going to do a pretty good job against these. All right, gets that lock on.
Oh, that
Another
landed on
Cyclone
those
gets there.
SCVs.
Yeah. A couple more vials coming out. Another nice lock on. DRG trying to out micro.
Trying to out micro a Cyclone. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Imagine trying to. No, I'll just try to kite it. What?
I mean, it looks to me like that's it. Yeah. Okay, I like the idea from DRG, but Maru really kept his cool, dealt with it. I think that DRG could have microed a little bit better with the initial push. He took a lot of damage on a Ravager. Maru did do a nice little drill maneuver, which he then stopped, which popped a Ravager out towards his Marine.
Right.
Or Marines. So that definitely helped a little bit with that hold, but Yeah, not the crispest execution. I can't even think of the word execution right now.
It's not the best, how do you say, execution? As the French say, execution.
Le execution.
We're going to go to the final map. This is going fast, man.
Yeah, we're having some...
Not even a half hour into the show. We're already to the third game. Nautilus for game 2. Definitely won't see that strat from DRG in game 2, and we probably won't see Maru try what he did in game 1. So this should be a fresh one.
Oh, yeah, 4-player map. I'm ready.
All right, guys, let's go and find out who wins between DRG and Maru.
2022 GSL Season 1. Team MB, DRG. Onside Gaming, Maru.
All right, Maru, nothing too fancy here. I like how we have the X-Men logo at the expansion there for DRG.
Mm-hmm. And we're just two Professor Xaviers over here.
Yeah.
Unable to game, like our legs don't work, but guy in the chat.
Hey, all right. A guy in the chat in the audience.
Now a guy in the audience, no longer a guy in the chat.
Oh, I think he's still a guy in the chat.
So good to see you guys down in the studio. It's so cool to have an audience again.
It is.
I think, as the next couple of weeks, pass here, we're gonna have the studio fill up a little bit more and more. I think some people still a little bit wary to get out.
Yeah, sure.
I'm certainly not one of them, but it is it's good to kind of have people gathering again. We basically just in the city of Seoul just lifted the restrictions.
Yeah.
So I know some places, some people are still in lockdown. Other places, there's nothing. Everything's back to normal.
There's still rules here and stuff. But,
for sure, but slowly getting back to the old days.
So, there are vertical spawns on the right side. I think you're probably happy with that as Terran. You probably don't want cross spawn, right?
I think that, yes, especially someone like Maru, you can push very easily from the north down to the south.
Yeah, it's certainly a little bit quicker. One thing to note is that a lot of 4-player maps in StarCraft 2 have that speed up zone in the middle to try to negate some of the distance across for cross spawn. Because that's one of the really big differences for 4-player maps. It's certainly something that we know about very well in StarCraft 1, where cross spawn changes everything about your strategies. Because it's just, the extra 7 seconds or something it is, or 5-7 seconds, whatever it comes out to be on an average map. Changes a lot at the pro level.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of matchups, there's really always one race that's kind of burdened with defending, the other with pushing or trying to close it out. There are cheeses that kind of change that, that detail, but yeah, I mean, if you're Terran, you want to basically be closer to the Zerg. Or in a perfect world, if you were to just try to only make Terrans win everything, you'd probably want them closer and closer and closer,
Smaller maps in general.
Smaller maps tend to favor Terran on.
Yeah, with closer bases.
Whereas, if you're a Zerg, and, you want to be the master of the universe and make all the Zergs win, you just make all the maps actually bigger than they already are.
You just make the maps StarCraft 2 maps?
Yeah.
You want?
You just leave things as they are right now.
Yeah. I mean, it could be more Zerg,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are things that you could do, but it's fine as is as well.
But this is, I'd say, positionally good for Maru. I hope he doesn't do anything that's too out there.
Fusion Core.
Oh, well, that's not too out there. That's fine.
Yeah, it's not as trendy, but we've seen it a couple times now.
Yeah,
I guess
already
it's the second time
this
season. Yeah.
Is it the third time? I thought we had it
Is it the third? It
Could be.
might be the third. I know that we saw it the other day. It was kind of interesting. But
yeah, this was much more popular about 2 to 3 years ago. This was like, and it wasn't just like one type of build. There was a whole bunch of different battlecruiser builds.
There were. I think it settled for the most part on BC into mech.
Yeah.
The BC into bio builds didn't really seem to fare quite as well, so I'm assuming we're going to see mech here.
Yeah, when we had BC into bio, it seemed like you had 1 to sometimes 3 BCs, and you would just try to keep pushing.
Yeah, remember there was for a little bit the option to just go BCs endlessly. Back when Special played against Cyril in the finals of a WCS stop, I can't recall which city, but where he made like 20 BCs or something, and then it just, you know, then it comes down to really silly spellcasting and trying to scan ahead to see where everything's.
Yeah.
But eventually people figured out that like 3 BCs generally is the right number. So I assume we're going to see 3 BCs out of Maru.
The Vikings just going to try to clear some overlords over here. And this game is basically going to build up into a lot of tension here, as Zerg is going to have to kind of hop over to this bottom left quadrant. There's basically only one expansion pattern for Zerg on this map, and they need to get over there, and that's going to be when Terran is pushing. So, you know, a lot of times Smith bases come fairly easily to Zerg. This is not one of those maps.
Now look at this, warps a BC in on top of the Queens.
Oh, and he could basically use it as a magnet for the Queens so that these Hellions come through. This is actually pretty genius.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I guess you're right about that. That's what, I thought what you were saying was pretty fanciful, and then it actually happened. I'm like, all right,
true, man.
No, I guess so. That was a pretty sick bait, because now he's killed 15 drones with these Hellions, which is awesome.
So, I mean, that's that. That's a lot of killed workers. I don't think it's the end of the world right now for DRG, but that's a pretty comfortable spot. I mean, granted, you do sacrifice all those Hellions to get in there. It's not bad for Maru at all. I mean,
think it's
amazing.
great,
Yeah.
And he's actually just going tank Hellion behind. He's actually getting Blue Flame very, very, very quickly.
Oh, cool.
Which is going to work out well for him, because there's already a melee attack upgrade, right? So, like, he was already investing in Lings. That was what he wanted to go for. Of course, this strategy will catch you off guard with that occasionally. But Maru now starting his upgrades. We do have the Infestation Pit and Ro.10 coming up here for DRG as he starts a transition into more of an anti-mech unit set.
So he's going to come in once more. And I kind of like that little mid-game maneuver and how this sets up nicely so that Zerg's basically in a rebuilding phase for a little bit of time while you're still trying to fill in your mech tech. It actually makes a lot of sense for these spots on this map specifically.
Now, DRG is actually going Swarm Host.
Oh.
So that's kind of cool, right? Like, it's certainly something that you can do against mech. We certainly haven't seen it in Korea for quite some time. But it is a valid way to play, where you just kind of harass them endlessly and gain value because mech is much more slow-moving. But the BCs, I think, are going to make it a little bit harder for the Storm Host to do what they're supposed to do. BCs are just so mobile, and, you know, they can do the defense. They can push back Swarm Host if you're trying to use Nidus, which we don't see yet, but they would be able to help deal with that as well. This base is never going to work against Swarm Host. Maybe that's why he made the decision. Because, like, as soon as you see Locust, you may as well lift this thing off. It's just too close, you know?
Yeah.
He could launch that from his main base and kill it.
Yeah. Well, the first of the Locusts are going to hatch and come out here. And again, I mean, some really high-value targets here, like these 2 tanks.
And that's a lot of Locusts. He's going to lose the tanks. Hellbats get pulled back. So that little defense he put on really didn't end up working out.
You know, the SCVs are actually stuck down here.
I'm honestly surprised that he let the Planetary finish. Like, when you see the
Planetary
Swarm Host there...
Is he going to save that?
He might.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I couldn't even play-by-play that.
I'm actually shocked he saved it. That thing was so low, man. Like, one more Roach that could have fallen.
I know. It was a real, like, tug-of-war there with the HP. But he's going to come in here with a second wave of Locusts, and I'm not so sure, man. I mean, I feel like this is going to be pretty tough to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, he can basically get, I think, every tank that we see on screen, right?
Well,
I don't know
he's
about
repairing the hell out of this. So
he's
let's
also,
see.
I feel like he's overcommitting on the planetary, where
Yeah.
like you can actually isolate the planetary from everything else.
Well, I think if you just use Locust, every time you're launching out your Locust, you're killing like 2-3 tanks.
Yeah.
And then you start going after the planetary when you can. But yeah,
Oh.
I think you're right. Like, he's committing a little bit too hard with actual units.
So this is actually, I think, a pretty smart idea. But things are getting crazy. He's going to have this set of Roaches and Ravagers attacking the orbital up here. But the BCs are just going to tear right into the third base and force the drones to evacuate.
Now the BCs fly right into the main base. The Queen's trailing them, trying to chase them down. There are a lot of Corruptors on the way, so that's certainly going to help. Yamato about third of the way done. They should have their jumps here still as well, so they'll deal their damage and get out. And the planetary does fall.
We didn't get to see it actually fall, but it is taken out. And these Roaches are still killing a couple workers back here.
Loses one BC, by the way.
And the swarm hosts remain. And this means that now the third base is going to be a pretty desirable target for DRG to attack, because whenever you have swarm hosts, I mean, you want to just keep using them, right? I mean, it is sort of this unlimited resource with the fact that they just you have to work with the cooldown, right, instead of energy or any kind of resources. And so I think actually Maru might be close to being picked off here. I mean, the Corruptors are defeated in the air fight, but the ground fight is almost more important here. The only thing that's really keeping the Terran in the game at all is the fact that there are 3 battle cruisers. But I mean, making more Corruptors and certainly chucking more Locusts into the Terran is very easy for the Zerg to do.
Yeah, and he definitely can continue this, and it certainly looks good for DRG, in my opinion, as well. Maru has a very high worker count. He does have very high quality units as well. So we'll see if he's able to hold on. Like, I don't think so, but here we go. Throw some Yamatos down. Corruptors being reduced a little bit here, but chasing down the BCs. One of them has died already, another one about to go down. That's it, GG.
Okay.
And I believe that is Maru's elimination right there. I do not think that he has any chance to get through now. He can still affect the outcome of the group quite heavily because he has games to play, but he's 0-3. You're not,
I mean, it's weird to
like
say,
he
man.
literally, he needs the 2 other 1-1 guys to lose both badly, right?
No, it's impossible.
Well, he went 1-2 every time. So if the other 2 1-1 guys go 0-2-0-2 and he goes 2-0 in his next match, maybe. I could see that maybe being enough for him. So maybe there is a slight chance, but it's not just up to him anymore.
I can't believe it, man. That's just wild. We're going to have an interview with DRG, see how he's feeling. He has just defeated Maru in honestly a pretty interesting series, a little bit shorter than I would have expected. But that also means kind of some of the breaking news of this group is that Maru's 0-3. Anyways, let's see how DRG's feeling after his win.
Alright, so this is the week 2 of the round of 10 Group B. We're gonna have an interview with DRG, who just defeated Maru. So he's currently first place in Group B with an overall score of +2. So how do you feel today? Well, I'll be really happy if I advance out of the group. You know, Maru is currently at 3 losses, so you know I think he might be eliminated surely. So it kind of feels bad for me that I have to let him go because he's a nice guy. He's close to me. And today we got to see some Banshee mechanic from Maru. So Banshee mechanic hasn't appeared in a pro game for a long time. So how do you make a counterplay? Well, for other maps, it could be quite tricky to deal with. But this was on Berlingrad, and then, you know, he was right in front of my base. So, you know, I think the reason why I was able to win is because I scouted, and then I realized that he's going for the Banshee mechanic, and that helped me provide the counterplay. You know, I thought the Reaper would back off after he saw my base, but you know he didn't, and then I was quite startled about that.
노린 빌드가 아니기도 했고 좀 운이 많이 안 따랐던 것 같아요.
And today, I think in general, Maru was just not lucky.
행성 요새도 사실 못 깼었고 그 전에도 뭐 화염차의 피해도 많이 입고 상당히 게임이 어려운.
That's right. So the game could have gone a lot worse because of Maru's plays in the game, but it didn't. So can you talk us through the game?
절대 못 이기는 게임이었는데 그게 하필 가로 세로여가지고.
I mean, like if our bases were situated diagonally, I probably wouldn't be able to win. But it was like horizontal, so I was able to win.
섰는데 잘 통했던 것 같아요.
And I think generally my strategies worked out really well for me. So you have a ZVZ left. So ahead of the ZVZ, anything you want to say?
저전도 좀 많이 제가 최근에 방송 경기에서 저전 이겨본 게 언제인지.
I mean, recently, I haven't been doing so good with the ZVZ matchup.
자신감이 많이 떨어져 있는.
So my confidence has dropped a lot. But if I do beat Dark today, I think I might be able to set my eyes on the first place of Group B. Alright, we look forward to your good performance in the match against Dark. Alright, so that was DRG after securing the win in match 6. Alright, so the upcoming match is between Creator and Hero. It is a PvP. It'll be very soon.